The story opens under the harsh blaze of the desert sun. Evelyn's wagon train has been attacked. The sky burns red, smoke rising from overturned wagons. Her father is dead, her brother missing. She's captured, terrified, trembling, clutching a blood-soaked shawl. Bound, she expects cruelty. But Kaya, the Apache warrior who found her, unties her hands and gives her water. His tribe wants vengeance for settlers who took their land. But he sees something in her eyes, something human, not enemy. As the group travels toward their mountain camp, Evelyn's fear shifts into a quiet awe. The land is both merciless and magnificent. The Apache people move with grace, living off the earth. She sees children laughing, women weaving, men singing by the fire. Everything she was taught about savages begins to crumble. At night, she shivers in the cold desert wind. When she hesitantly asks, "Where will I sleep?" Kaya looks at her, not with lust, but with a solemn gentleness. He spreads a blanket beside the fire and says in a deep, accented voice, "Right here." That moment changes everything. He lies beside her, not touching. Yet she feels the warmth of him like a shield against the night. The stars above seem endless, silent witnesses to something sacred forming between them. Over the next days, Evelyn learns fragments of his language. He teaches her to grind corn, to braid rope, to listen for rattlesnakes in the sand. The tribe begins to accept her when she helps a wounded child. Slowly, Kaya's respect for her becomes visible in his protective glances and soft-spoken words. Conflict brews when a rival Apache warrior, Nantan, demands that Evelyn be sold or punished. He calls her a curse. Kaya defends her publicly, defying his leader's command. That act of rebellion brands him a traitor to some of his own people. When soldiers come searching for captives, Evelyn realizes she must choose freedom with her own kind or loyalty to the man who saved her. The soldiers promise safety, but she sees their hatred for Kaya. In the chaos of gunfire, she grabs Kaya's hand and pulls him into the canyon, saving him as he once saved her. They find refuge beneath the stars, both wounded and hunted. She leans on him, whispering, "Where will I sleep now?" And once again he murmurs, "Right here." Their love is born in survival, fragile, forbidden, but pure. The final scene. Dawn breaks over the red mesas. Evelyn, once a captive, now walks beside Kaya, not as prisoner or stranger, but as equal. She's no longer afraid of where she'll sleep because wherever he is, she has found home. Sarah Whitfield's life collapses when her homestead is burned by renegade riders. Her husband is killed, her house destroyed, and she wanders into the desert with nothing but grief. Days later, delirious from thirst, she collapses. She awakens to a shadowed face, an Apache man leaning over her. She's terrified, believing she's captured by those responsible. But Talon is different. He was banished from his tribe for refusing to kill settlers. He carries guilt for the violence around him. He brings her to a hidden canyon with water and herbs. As she regains strength, she sees that he lives alone, part man, part ghost. The nights are cold. One evening, shivering beneath a torn blanket, she asks softly, "Where will I sleep?" Talon looks at her for a long time, then wraps his buffalo hide around her shoulders and says, "Right here, where the wind cannot reach you." For the first time in months, she feels safe. They share food, silence, and stories of loss. Sarah speaks of her husband's kindness. Talon reveals he once had a wife, killed by settlers. Both have reasons to hate, yet both are tired of hate. As days pass, they grow close, not through passion but through shared survival. He teaches her to build a fire, to read the wind, to listen to the language of the canyon. Their peace is short-lived. A patrol discovers their camp and brands her a traitor for being with an Apache. Talon defends her, killing one of the soldiers. They flee through a sandstorm, finding shelter in a cave. There, as lightning flashes outside, Sarah finally touches his face and whispers, "If I sleep here, will you still be here when I wake?" His reply is simple, steady, always. Their love defies two worlds. When dawn comes, she decides to stay, not because she's trapped, but because she has chosen him. The story ends with them watching the sunrise together, her head resting on his chest, knowing she will never ask, "Where will I sleep?" again. In 1872, Lydia Marlowe runs from her wedding into the wild desert night, her white dress torn, her shoes ruined. Her wealthy father arranged the marriage for power, but Lydia craves freedom. She collapses in exhaustion, only to be found by Chato. an Apache scout working for the U.S. cavalry. He knows the desert like a second skin, silent, proud, unreadable. At first, he intends to return her to town for the bounty the army pays for lost white women. But her eyes, fierce despite fear, remind him of someone he lost. When a sandstorm hits, they take shelter beneath a rock ledge. Lydia trembles from cold and fear. Her voice cracks, "Where will I sleep?" Chato meets her gaze and answers, "Here. No one touches you here." Over the next days, he guides her through the wilderness. They battle thirst, bandits, and the ghosts of their pasts. She learns to trust him, learns that his people were betrayed, his family killed by soldiers wearing her father's flag. When Lydia confesses who she is, the daughter of a general who led raids against the Apache, Chato's silence becomes a storm. He leaves her by a river, torn between vengeance and mercy. But when he hears gunfire, bounty hunters chasing her, he returns, saving her at the cost of his own freedom. Bleeding, he falls into her arms. Lydia cradles him, sobbing, whispering the words again, "Where will I sleep?" He smiles faintly through pain, "Right here, until the sun rises again." In the end, Lydia rides into the mountains with him, no longer a runaway bride, but a woman reborn in love's wilderness. When Annabelle Quinn is taken captive during a skirmish between soldiers and Apaches, she expects death. Instead, she's brought to the war camp of Chief Atza, a fierce but honorable leader. The camp demands blood for blood, and Atza declares she will live, as his wife, to protect her from the men who would harm her. She resists, furious and afraid. Their marriage begins in silence. She refuses to eat, refuses to speak, but Atza never forces her. He gives her a separate sleeping place near the fire. One cold night when she finally asks, "Where will I sleep?" he answers softly, "By the fire. Or here, if you wish to be safe." Over time, she witnesses his kindness to children, his reverence for life. When he saves a wounded soldier instead of killing him, her heart begins to change. A plague strikes the camp and Annabelle nurses the sick. She and Atza grow close through shared service, laughter, and trust. She learns his language, his stories, and the scars of betrayal the U.S. government left on his people. When soldiers arrive to rescue her months later, Annabelle refuses to go. They call her mad. She looks at Atza, realizing that what began as captivity became destiny. In the final scene, under a sky full of firelight, she whispers the words again, "Where will I sleep?" And this time his hand finds hers, right here, as long as the stars remember our names. Clara James, a nurse weary of war, tends to the injured in a dusty frontier outpost. When a wounded Apache warrior, Toshin, is captured, she is ordered to keep him alive for interrogation. Her superiors treat him like an animal, but Clara sees humanity in his silent endurance. She sneaks him water, stitches his wounds, and eventually earns his first words, "Why you care?" She answers, "Because no one else does." Over weeks a bond grows. He teaches her Apache words. She shares songs from her childhood. When guards threaten to hang him for spying, Clara helps him escape, guiding him into the desert. Night falls. Exhausted, she sinks beside a dying campfire and whispers, "Where will I sleep?" Toshin looks at her, the woman who risked everything, and says, "Right here, beside me. You are not alone anymore." They hide in the canyon lands, hunted by both armies. In that wilderness, their love becomes their only refuge. In the final act, Toshin is wounded, saving her from soldiers. She refuses to leave his side, pressing his hand to her heart as he fades. But he survives, barely. And as dawn breaks, she curls beside him, whispering, "We live. We love." Right here, they vanish into legend. A nurse and a warrior remembered as ghosts who chose love over war.